and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hey! If you're joining us for the first time, hugs and kisses to you. And if you're a returning subscriber, hugs and kisses to you. Thank you very much for sticking with me, and I am so sorry for such a long silence. I'm not going to make any promises and say, oh yeah, but what I'm going to say is I'm definitely going to do better this year. So today we're going to talk about recommended beginner bikes for Nigerians because we're in Nigeria. Okay, so my name is Feinsolua Munayajo, aka Feinti, aka Fein, and in no particular order, right? I'm going to be mentioning bikes that I think are beginner friendly, and I'm going to be looking at functionality, durability, and also cost of service and maintenance. Those are the key things we're going to be looking at while mentioning each of these bikes. So the first on my list would be the one I started with, but before I go into that, I'm going to say beginner bikes are usually between a 250cc to a 500cc. However, especially now in this generation, people ride whatever they deem fit. I mean, you can ride Hayabusa 1300cc. If you can ride it, it is not me that will tell you don't ride it. Anything your eyes see, face am. But what I usually advise is start small. You don't have to take my advice. I'm not your mother. I'm not your teacher. You can ask your instructor what bike you should use, because I think your instructor actually can tell from the way you're riding in school what bike you should go for. So yes, my number one on the list is the one I started with. So obviously I'm going to start with that. Is the Kawasaki Ninja 250cc. This bike is actually a sports bike, but not aggressive sports. It's a 250cc, so it's still a small bike. And the max capacity, the max speed it can do is about 140 to 170 kilometers per hour. For the functionality, I won't say you can't use it every day. You can definitely use it every day because it is light. It is super light and it is a forgiving bike. I know while riding this bike, I had near misses that I was very sure that if it wasn't for the fact that the bike was a small bike, I would have probably had a worse situation than I had at that moment. The parts are readily available in the Lagos markets where you get your spare parts, and cost of maintenance is usually very minimal, because you don't need to go overboard as long as you do your checks every single time, like after your 5,000 kilometers you service, you also check for the oil gauge, and then you put your water and all of that. You really don't have issues. So that is the Kawasaki 250 Ninja. For the second on the list, I would say a KTM 390 Duke. Now this bike is a lovely bike, and it is also an adventure bike. So if you'll be doing a little bit of traveling, touring while you start riding, I mean, after like a month or so of riding within Lagos, you are good to go outside Lagos or whatever state you're in. I mean, you can ride if you're in Ibadan, ride within Ibadan, you know the tricks on your bike, and then take it out of there if you want to travel. So the KTM 390 is actually really nice to travel. it is also light. It's also a light bike, and it's a functional bike because you can ride it every single day. You can ride it to work. It's good in traffic, and yes. So for the cost of repair for the KTM, I am not very certain that the parts are readily available in the Lagos market. However, the KTM parts are actually similar to some other bike parts. So, good mechanics now, they can switch one part for another brand part. You know, it's not so much of a big deal. Also, you can order in if it's not available. So, yes, the KTM is actually a good bike to ride. Um, the CBR 300 is also an awesome bike. I'm a Honda fan. I love Hondas, right? So it is also light, easy to maintain. You can use it in town and out of town. Um, Maybe out of town, maybe the sitting position might not be very favorable to some people, but however, it is not as aggressive because it is a beginner's bike. The next bike we'll go to is the Yamaha 300, which is popularly known as the R3. I know a couple of people that started on this bike, and it is a lovely bike to start with. Also, it is also cost friendly, it's also repair friendly, and it's also fuel friendly, fuel consumption friendly. uh yes, you can easily get the parts in the Lagos markets. I mean, it is everywhere. Yeah, because Yamaha is like one of the popular brands in Nigeria and in the world actually. The next bike we're going to go to is the CBR 500R. Now this is a sports tourer, right? It is not the aggressive sports. It is what sports tourers are. It's You can tour with it, and it also gives the illusion of a sports bike because it has fairings. So the difference between a sports bike and a street bike, it's just that the sports bike has a different sitting position. The engine is also slightly different from the engine of the streets. Like if we were to put the CBR 500R side by side with the CB 500F, which is the street and the sports version, the sports will definitely go faster than the streets, right? It also depends on who is riding and how well the person can ride the bike. The fairings, the CBR 500R has more fairings. The CB 500F is a naked bike. When I say naked, it's not completely naked, but the fairings are minimal compared to the other. So for the CBR 500, I also used that bike. It was actually my second bike, but it can go as a first bike. I rode that bike to a lot of places in Nigeria. I climbed Gembu with the bike. I went to Abuja on that bike. In fact, the first day I got that bike, I got it 9 p.m. I think it was Thursday, and Friday the next day 6 a.m. I traveled on the bike to Osun State. It was sweet. It was a cool ride. It wasn't heavy. I didn't have issues with that bike basically, right? It's also easy to maintain, and the fuel consumption is lovely. So functionality, you can use it every day. Yes, you can definitely use it every day. The sitting position is not as aggressive as a sport, like a full sports bike. The next on my list would be the CB500X. That is one bike I actually still want to get, even though I don't want the 500 anymore, or I've passed the level of the 500. But I don't mind getting that bike because if there's someone that has made me love that bike more in recent times, is Debola Ajala Kendricks. It is a good bike to tour. It's a touring bike first and foremost. So you can tour on that bike and you can use it every single day. One thing about Hondas is they are going to give you bikes that you can easily maintain, no issues. I don't think anybody has an Honda has ridden Honda before and has major issues, except you don't know how to take care of your bikes. It is a bike that will respond to you anytime. Just make sure you are doing your servicing, you're doing your bike checks at every single interval. Aside that, the bike is lovely. It is something that you start and you ride and you go. So the CB 500X is good to tour. So if you want to travel and you want to travel a lot, especially you want to climb rocks, you want to go through the deserts, you want to go through the water. Okay, I'm not reading it on water before. I've not seen anybody ride on water, but what I'm trying to say is that that bike would respond. It will take you places. Trust me on that. So the next on my list would be the CB 500F. So Honda actually has a lot of beginner bikes, the CB 500R, the CBR 500R, the CB 500X, the CB 500F, and they are all reliable. The CB 500F is actually the junior brother. I know people say bikes are feminine, but they call it girl. I call bikes guys, because why am I riding a girl? So the CB 500F is actually the junior brother to the bike I'm riding currently, which is the CB 500 CB 650F. I haven't done a proper introduction of that bike yet, and I am sorry. Very soon you see it. But the CB 500F is also a good bike. It's the street version. The street version of the Honda. That's instead of the CBR 500R, CB 500F is the street version. So it's also durable. Also, the fuel consumption is friendly. Also easy to maintain. The parts are readily available, and all of that. Now, I've mentioned quite a few beginner bikes that I can think of, right? However, you can start with whatever bike you're comfortable with. I've seen people start with the MT-07 and they are doing great. I've seen people start with the CB 650F, which I'm riding currently, and they did well. So everything boils down to yourself personally. Do your research. The whole Instagram, YouTube, Google is there for you. Go on Instagram and do hashtag whatever bike you're looking for. You will definitely see someone that has things to say on Instagram, or the way they ride, or what they think about the bike. Go on YouTube, research that particular bike you want to buy. Go on Google, research that particular bike you want to buy. Truth be told, nobody, and I mean nobody, should tell you, oh, this is the bike you should buy, if you've not really thought about the bike or researched about the bike. Do not listen to what people say. Instead, go with your guts. Go with your guts and learn, research, learn and unlearn, so you know what exactly you're going into, what you're getting. You don't just get a bike because everybody is getting that bike. It might not be something you want to get. It might not be as sweet to you as it's sweet to other people. So do your own research. If you now want to ride the Ducati Panigale 600, 800, I don't know, whatever it is you want to ride, go for it. But don't say Fenty told you, because I've told you what beginner bikes I think you should go for, but I am not your mother. I am not your sister. Okay, I might probably be everybody your sister, but what I'm saying is that go for whatever you want to go for, as long as you're fine with it. I am fine with it. Everybody will be fine with it. So that is all on today's video, and I hope to see you guys soon. Okay, I hope you guys see me soon, because you know how it is now. But till then, Vain signing out.